Yo, 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 yo. Big Blue Nation, I know it's been a long one, right? We've been up and at 'em. I don't know about you guys, but I've been locked in for 3 days. 3 straight days I've been on these interwebs. I've had the TVs up. I've been and I'm still doing the right now. All because the New York Giants have a brand new, I shouldn't say brand new. They have new members of the family. People that you are going to want to know, that you are going to be interested in, that you are going to want to see. I'm here to talk about it. I've got a hot hour for you. We're going to break it down right now. Welcome to everybody that's on the YouTube. Welcome to everybody that's on my X. I appreciate all of you being here. We're going to talk about everything under the sun when it comes to these picks. No shade. Well, I shouldn't say no shade. We'll say no shade to players if we can avoid it. But we're going to talk about these moves. We're going to talk about these picks because there's a lot to discuss. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I've got a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons, New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure that, hey, if you're, shout out to everybody that's watching on X. But if you're watching on X right now, if you're blocking in, if you're coming and hanging out with me on X, continue to do so, right? Absolutely. But if you have not done so yet, I ask for you, go over to YouTube, go to the New York Giants on SI, hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of this. Because normally I don't go live on the X when it comes to the New York Giants on SI content with a giant issue. But I really wanted to make sure that I had everybody's attention, or at least all the attention that people want to give me. And we're going to be here for an hour. So if you have a question, make sure you hit the chat. Make sure you leave a comment. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you have to say about it. If anybody knows what I do in the comments, I try to talk to everyone. I try to answer. We can argue. We can be respectful. It doesn't matter to me, right? Doesn't matter to me. We can be respectful, though. That's the biggest thing. We don't have to agree, and we're probably not going to agree based off of my history when it comes to talking about the New York Giants. We're probably not going to agree. But what we can do is we can present our sides and all have a good time while we do it. Shout out to everybody that's on. Once again, I appreciate it. All 176 of you that are on right now, 163 of you that are on from X. So shout out to you. I want to start because, again, I'm going to be here for an hour. I want to jump right in to the picks, and I want to start right at number 1. Abdul Carter with the number 3 pick. Now, if you joined me on night 1 or after night 1, when everything was done, I went live and I talked about the first round. And my thought process then was, hey, you had a really big opportunity in front of you that you didn't take. I've heard a lot of people out here saying that Joe Shane killed this draft, like he murdered this draft, but I don't see it that way. And matter of fact, last year's draft where everybody said that he killed the draft, I don't see that draft as being so fantastic either. I've been pretty critical of Joe Shane's drafts since they arrived, and the proof is in the pudding, right? So at this point, with the 3rd pick, the Giants had an opportunity. They just saw the type of haul that they could get for the 3rd pick because they just watched as Cleveland traded away the opportunity for the only generational talent in this draft, right? There was only one, my opinion, maybe not yours, my opinion. There was only one generational talent in this draft, that person, Travis Hunter. And so They said to themselves, does Travis Hunter win us a championship? Their answer, probably no. So then the collective of what we could get for the one is going to outweigh the one, right? The collective is going to outweigh the one. And that's what we have to remember. The goal here, is to draft a collective that is going to make the team better, not to get one player that can be really, really good, but it doesn't equate into team success. So there's nothing against Abdul Carter. I think that a lot of people were a little hasty when they started calling Abdul Carter a generational talent. Once again, a generational talent is one that comes along once a generation. A generation is usually every 20 years, right? And so we've seen a ton of Abdul Carters come through. We see an Abdul Carter every year. There is nothing that stands out as different about Abdul Carter than some of the other talents that we've seen. Heck, they compared Abdul Carter to a guy that's in the league right now. So if you're comparing Abdul Carter to somebody that is currently in the league on a team, not making that team any better, then I feel like it's okay for me to say, as much as I think Abdul Carter is going to be a really good player in this league, Abdul Carter is probably not going to be the reason this team returns to prominence. He could be a part of it, but again, the collective is needed, right? The collective is needed. And so I thought the Giants had an opportunity to trade the third pick, right? Trade the third pick, still come away with a premium player, right? Still come away with a premium player, but get another pick for next year and another premium pick or another top 100 pick this year. I thought that was the opportunity that they missed, right? I thought that was the opportunity that they gave away. That was the opportunity that they did not take advantage of. Because if you're trying to take advantage of an opportunity to get better, if you need to get better right now, getting better right now should never be in should never have to be you should never have to sacrifice the future in order to be better right now. And so that third pick, if it had been traded down to say like anywhere in the top 10, right? Anywhere, 6 through 10, you could have still acquired an elite talent, right? You could have still acquired an elite talent, and you could have filled the coffers up to really do something crazy, something special. Abdul Carter as a draft pick, fantastic pick. I like this idea. I forget who was saying it, and I want to give attribution. So if you know who's talked about it, but there was this idea of using Abdul Carter on first and second down as a linebacker, right? And then on third down, using Abdul Carter as a rush guy, right? And I thought that was interesting because I thought it was interesting, not because I was not because I thought like, oh, this is where I want to use them. It's not because it was the way I want to use them. It was because I thought about the way in which you can use him in different avenues in order to get Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter on the field at the same time. I think a lot of you guys are, number one, overestimating Abdul Carter, and number two, you are drastically underestimating Kayvon Thibodeau. Like, everybody is just on this. Well, not everybody, but there's a lot of people out there that's on this Kayvon Thibodeau isn't good or has been a failure or isn't that great. Like, I don't have any evidence that Brian Burns is better than Kayvon Thibodeau. Like, I don't have any evidence of that. He's just played longer, right? But I don't have any evidence that he is unquestionably better. The same way that I don't have any evidence that Abdul Carter can just come in and immediately take the position of Kayvon Thibodeau when both of them operate in similar manners. Now, here's the thing that I think that Abdul Carter has on Kayvon Thibodeau. Abdul Carter is probably a more explosive, not probably, he's more explosive than Kayvon Thibodeau is. Like, he just has that suddenness. That's going to give him the benefit of the doubt in some aspects. But Kayvon Thibodeau is a rugged football player who just happens to be in a package that people keep trying to do multiple things with. What I hope for Kayvon Thibodeau this year, along with Abdul Carter, is that they don't try to get cute with them. Stop trying to drop these guys into coverage. Stop trying to make them into things that they are not. Their job should be to hunt, whether that's hunting the quarterback or hunting the ball carrier. That should be their job. So I like the idea of getting Abdul Carter on the field at the same time as Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. It's just not going to be with a NASCAR package, because who are you putting on the interior? The only person that you can even think about putting on the interior is Kayvon Thibodeau. But how is that helping Kayvon Thibodeau if you bump him inside, right? If you bump him inside and put his hand in the dirt and then put Abdul Carter on the outside. Here's how you can get it done. You line Kayvon Thibodeau up as an edge, right? Brian Burns as an edge. You have Abdul Carter as a roamer, and you might run games and stunts with those two, where you might have Kayvon Thibodeau slant to the B gap, right? Or take an interior move to the B gap while Abdul Carter loops around to the C gap, utilizing his athletic ability that way. So when Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence, or Burns and Dexter Lawrence, when they flush the quarterback to the edges because there's nowhere to go inside, guess who's going to be there to chase him down? Abdul Carter, who is probably going to walk in as one of the best chase down guys in all of the league. Abdul Carter's motor and his ability to chase things down when they're going away from him, phenomenal. Like, haven't seen anyone better. Where he gets in trouble and where he's going to have to improve at is when you start asking him to fight against pressure because the ball's being run directly at him, right? That's where he's going to have to learn that this is a different game. How do I know that? Brian Burns had to. Kayvon Thibodeau had to. Aiden Hutchinson had to, right? Walker had to. All of those elite level edge rushers, even the guys who really are more defensive ends like Hutchinson and Walker, like, they had to learn how to fight against the pressure when the ball was coming directly at them. We've seen other guys who are even bigger than Abdul Carter struggle with these things, right? Mario Williams, 6'7", 285 pounds, monster. You can run directly at him. Hey, quiet as kept. Myles Garrett, so good, so phenomenal, right? You can run right at Myles Garrett. You can go right at Myles Garrett running, because some of these guys are just not as good when they have to be forceful at the point of attack, and they can't just use their athleticism, right? If you let them dip around you, they can get a tackle. But what if you dip around and they get a chunk on you, right? We already know Micah Parsons, but what if you dip around and they get a chunk on you? And now that guy's running at you. You just created a lane for them to run through, right? Shout out to the Bit Moo. For all of you who don't know, Bit Moo always supporting. Appreciate your Bit Moo. Always love the words of encouragement. Fashion Lawn, you know what we here to do. New York State of Mind. I've been waiting to give my my take on this. So if you've been waiting to hear from him, I'm hoping you're hearing what you want to hear. Iman, always appreciate you coming through. Iman Perry, Hot Pocket, Hot Pocket Pete. I love some of these names that you find on social media. Always good to see some of you guys from the YouTube. Once again, if you're joining me, and again, I can see from the numbers, 554 people on X right now. Shout out to all of you joining 556 as we make sure you go to the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Ronnie Rivers, happy with the picks. Yes. And shout out to you, Ronnie. I am not disappointed with the picks, right? And I'm going through. So Abdul Carter, I'm cool with it. I'm juicy with it. He's got some things he's going to have to get better at, but he should come in and be a factor immediately. Does he affect winning? The answer is no, unless ... What do I mean? He's not going to affect winning if you can't get teams behind where they have to pass. If he is strictly just a run defender, he's not going to affect winning. He's not. There's a reason they moved him to edge rusher, right? There's a reason they moved him to edge rusher. You can't have him be your full-time inside linebacker. He's going to overrun things. Going to be bad run fits, right? He's going to get swallowed up by guards and tackles who are able to, to get to him. Like if it comes down to them and how they utilize him, he can be really effective and help winning. If it comes down to him not being able to hunt the quarterback, it's not going to affect winning. He could have a decent season. It's not going to affect winning, right? So they didn't trade down. They stayed with him. They took Carter, and now we come back through. And again, if you're here to hear me rant about Shedeur Sanders, you're in the wrong place. That's over now. Shedeur Sanders is a Brown, right? Shedeur Sanders is a Brown, and he's going to be a Brown. And the New York Giants decided that they wanted Jackson Dart. And so they traded back into the first round to get Jackson Dart. Shout out to Raymond. Like, loves the job Joe did. Again, I think this part that I'm about to talk about, it's not the greatest job by Joe Shane. Tutu Azuri. Shout out to Tutu Azuri, always coming through with the super chats. Hey, appreciate you guys and everybody in Italy. Shout out to the rugby fam out there doing your thing. We really do appreciate you, Tutu. I'm going to say this. And I'm going to preface it this way. I think Jackson Dart has talent. I would not have been, or I'm not upset that the Giants took Jackson Dart. This has nothing to do with Jackson Dart. I think that the Giants sacrificed what could have been another quality piece to the overall team in order to take a flyer on a guy that they hope can be the franchise, that they're going to give every opportunity to be the franchise. But they have utilized resources in a way that makes me wonder how they came about this decision. I know that a lot of people are like, well, they didn't really sacrifice anything. They went from 34 to 20 to 25. They didn't really give up anything. Cool. I want you to understand that within the top 100, you are taking starters. You are taking starters in the top 100. So they gave up the ability to take a starter at 99, and they gave up the ability to take a starter in the third round of 2026 so that they can get the guy that they think is the guy. The only way nobody complains about this trade is if he's the guy, right? The only reason anybody complains about the Giants moving down and then taking a wide receiver that we won't name a few years ago, right? The only reason they're mad about the Giants trading down and taking that guy is because that guy didn't work out. If that guy works out, then nobody complains. Nobody's saying, yeah, but you could have gotten this dude who went to the Cowboys. Nobody's saying that, right? If Jackson Dart wins something tangible, then nobody will be thinking about those draft picks. But there is no evidence that Jackson Dart has an ability to elevate anybody. Jackson Dart went to Ole Miss, right? Jackson Dart went to Ole Miss. He took over for another quarterback who had just as much success, who took over from another quarterback who had just as much success. Newsflash, anybody in that Ole Miss offense with Lane Kiffin, who is one of the best offensive play callers in the country at the collegiate level, they're going to have success. Oh, yeah, but you had to watch the film and look at the trait. I guarantee you there is not a person, not one, in Giants Nation that covers Giants Nation who does anything with drafts or any of that stuff who watches more film than I do. Not one. There might be someone who watches just as much, but there's nobody that watches more film than I do. There's not one person that's doing this thing that has a better eye for talent than I do. And I'm really on some like knuck if you buck stuff, not really like fighting, but just I'm confident because I heard a lot of these people talk reckless every time people question whether or not like the people that they take or that they challenge for, right? I hear a lot of people go, well, all you're doing is showing me that you didn't watch the film. That's inaccurate. Just because you and I both watch film doesn't mean we both saw the same thing. Doesn't mean that you understand the nuances of the game the way that I understand the nuances of the game. Right? So anytime I hear somebody say, not even to me, just in general, if you don't think this person is good, then you didn't watch the film. Okay. In my brain, I go, if you don't think this person is good, then you clearly see something different than I do. And that's okay. Right? To me, Jackson Dart is or has a ceiling. Jackson Dart has a ceiling of a bottom third starter in the NFL. I don't think that there's much of a chance that Jackson Dart is going to be a top 10, top 15 player in the NFL. Now, if he is, that's great. If he is, that's great. But what I see are traits that are lovely when everything is going well. I don't see any of those traits when there's chaos. Not consistently. Not consistently. And if you know anything that I know, there's going to be chaos in the NFL. There's going to be chaos at some point on this team. So I want the players that have a better understanding of how to operate in chaos. That's my only problem with trading up for him. If you'd have just sat and waited and got him in the second round, cool. Now, people have said, oh, well, the Rams were going to take him. Okay, let the Rams take him. You don't sacrifice unless you are sure, unless you are absolutely sure that a quarterback is him, that he is the man. You don't sacrifice trading up. But here's how you know they didn't think he was the man. They didn't take him with the third pick. If they take him with the third pick, then we don't have any of these conversations. You know why? Because there is no such thing as taking the quarterback too high. If the quarterback is the guy, if you think he's the man, take him. I'm not mad that the former regime took Daniel Jones, the former GM took Daniel Jones where he took him. He was convicted that Daniel Jones was the guy. My problem is, why were you convicted that he was the guy? I just didn't think he was that good. And it proved out that the people who didn't think he was that good were right. And he had every opportunity to, right? He had every opportunity to be good. He wasn't good. Now, the one thing that he didn't have is consistency. Varying head coaches, varying offensive coordinators. Even to a certain extent, this regime where he had one play caller one year and another play caller the next year, that affects a quarterback, right? That affects a quarterback. JT, I hear you, man. While I hear you, Coach, I think they knew Mara would be irate if they didn't draft a quarterback. Here's my problem. If you're going to get fired anyway, right? If you're going to get fired anyway, who cares who cares? If he's going to be irate that you don't get your quarterback, does that mean you had to draft him in the first round? Or better yet, this. If Jackson Dart's your guy, why lose draft capital to take him? Why not gain draft capital and take him? Why not trade down from 3, get a haul, draft Jackson Dart, then get a James Pierce, right? Take a flyer on a Mike Green, who everybody seemed to be out on, but has all of the production in the world. Like, why not grab a couple edge rushers that have elite level traits, but may not be the ceiling of an Abdul Carter? May not be the ceiling of an Abdul Carter, right? So if you're convicted about Jackson Dart, then be convicted about Jackson Dart. None of these teams believed in the QB class outside of the Titans. I think a lot of that, I'm not going to touch on it, but I'm not going to talk about it in depth, but I'm going to just tell you, whenever everybody tells the exact same story about a person, right? Whenever somebody is there, it'll tell you something. Like, the exact same story came out about Shadur Sanders from everybody. That doesn't sound weird to you? You mean he met with all of these different teams and the exact same story? I digress. D. Linder, This guy is the worst person covering this team. Dead wrong on predictions, and he is pissed. I'm not pissed at all. What did anybody has anyone ever like listen? If you guys have listened to me, do I sound pissed? Do I sound like I'm mad that they did this? I'm not mad. The proof of the pudding will be in the tasting. I know he's talking about me and mine. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting. And D Linder, I appreciate your comment. It's okay. Continue to watch. I appreciate it. If I'm the worst person covering this team and you're still watching, then I must just at least be entertaining, right? If I'm dead wrong on my predictions, I didn't predict that Shadur Sanders was going to be a giant. I wanted Shadur Sanders to be a giant. I thought he would be perfect for the offense that we've seen under Brian Daboll for the Giants, right? I don't think that Abdul Carter's a generational talent. I've seen nothing that makes me wrong about this. I think Abdul Carter is going to be a really good talent, not a generational one. So, like, if I'm not mad that the Giants said, "Hey, we want Jackson Dart." My problem is how they got Jackson Dart. Again, I think Jackson Dart's ceiling is not a top half of the quarterbacks. His ceiling is the bottom half of the starting quarterbacks, which isn't bad. And you could win a championship with a bottom half of the starting quarterbacks, but everything else around you has to be good in order to do it. The only argument that I will make is that this is the QB Daboll zeroed in on. So if he doesn't work out, we can place the blame squarely at his feet. Yeah. I guess. Like, I don't want to have to do that though. I would just rather go, hey, it didn't work out. Like, Jackson Dart has pressure on him now. He has pressure that he didn't need. Because now you're saying Jackson Dart is better than all of these other quarterbacks that were in the draft outside of a Cam Ward. So much that we had to give up draft capital for him. So if he doesn't perform well, if those other players perform better than he does, it looks bad. Now, here's the thing. He's inheriting an offense that is in a much better place than what the last quarterback had. And that should be, if everybody stays healthy, he has an opportunity, but he's going to have to learn how to perform under chaos a little bit better. We've seen him fold under pressure in the past. He's going to have to get better at that. He spent the last 3 years in the same offense in college. That's abnormal now. You don't hear about that. Even in the NFL, a lot of times you don't get a guy to be able to have the same head coach, coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Like, you don't get to see that consistently, right? Abdul Carter better make the Hall of Fame. He over here talking about wearing number 56. I'll get back to that, but I think that was very interesting. I'll just say this. Isn't it interesting that he asked to wear a 56 and LT said no? I don't know. I think it's interesting. Call me crazy. I think it's interesting. It should do. They could have taken him in the second and not given up anything. Yeah, or they could have taken anyone. Or they could have called the bluff. Because we only think the Rams were going to take Jackson Dart. We don't know for sure. I want to move into the second round, right? Because, again, I like this draft. I like the things that they did. Round 3, Darius Alexander. Now, If you were with me night one afterwards, I said that the Giants needed to come away in the third round with one of 4 positions that they needed to address during the draft: defensive tackle, offensive line, running back, wide receiver. They got 3 of the 4 throughout the next 2 days. And they started with Darius Alexander, who is what I would consider to be a late bloomer. His first few years at Toledo, right? Not that great. But his final 2 years, he was there for 5 years. His final 2 seasons, 2023 and 2024, or excuse me, I think he was there 6 years because, you know, the COVID thing. In 2019, he set out as a red shirt. Then he got the extra COVID year. 2020, he played in 6 games. 2021, started 3 games. 22, started 1. But in 2023 and 2024, he really blossomed. And you know why? Because he just got better. He just got bigger. He got stronger. He got more nasty. He became more of a beast, more of a physical like freak when it came to going up against the competition. I think that this was a really good draft pick for a third round draft pick. When you look at all of the defensive tackles that had gone, when you look at who was left on the board, I think that Alexander gives you the most flexibility at the pick. He's a guy who can be a legitimate 3 technique in a 4 front and a legitimate 5 technique 4-eye in a 3 front, right? So he has position flexibility. I really like that. I think I would give, if I had to, you know, I'll give grades at the end. A quick review and grades at the end. I really like that pick. I think he gets an opportunity to go in, and if you're putting 2 defensive tackles on the board, on the field at the same time, he's going to have a chance to carve out a really nice niche for himself in that role. Great pick at pick number 65. In round 4, pick number 105 was Cam Scatterbo. I'm not going to say I had Cam Scatterbo as the back that I wanted to take. I had a couple, like a good 3 other big backs that I thought were better picks. But Cam Scatterbo's a dog, man. He's such a dog. I couldn't even be mad at it. I had to change my thought process to, hey, this is still the Thunder in a Thunder and Lightning package, right? This is still the Thunder. I'm hung up on the height, but he's still a bit back. He's 220 pounds at 5'9". Hey, when they tell you he's 5'10", let me tell you something. This man is not 5'10". Not 5'10" at all. But it doesn't matter that he's not 5'10". Because at the end of the day, for me, at 5'9", 220, he's an absolute wrecking ball. And you're not going to see him coming through the trees, and then he's going to pop out and have success, right? He's going to pop out and have success. JT, I thought they had a very strong draft time. Will tell with the top 3 dudes. I think running back and the late O lineman could both be steals. I don't know if it's a steal. I'm not going to say Cam Scatterbo's a steal. Limited in the pass game, short arms. You got to be really accurate with the pass for him because his catch radius is almost non-existent. But I think he can be a really effective runner. He also has a lot of mileage on him coming out of college, where a lot of these other guys didn't have the same level of mileage because they may have been in platoon situations or just didn't perform for as long. But again, really like Scatterbo at that pick in the 4th round. I thought that was a really quality pick. Again, I had to change my brain waves on it and go, nope, this is still the Thunder. It's just not in a 6'2", 230 package. It's in a 5'9", 220-pound package. And that's fine. I'm with it. I think he's going to be a fan favorite, right? Round 5, Marcus Zimbo, right? Marcus Imbo, for me, is a steal, not because he's a steal, not because he was, in my opinion, the best lineman that was on the board at that time. I actually thought that was the dude Williams, who I had discussed in my best availables article on the Giants on SI, right? I did a best available article, and in the article I said that Cameron Williams, the offensive tackle from Texas, I actually thought he was the best available guy. 6'6", 320 tackle who could be a guard, right? But what they got in Imbo, who I really, really like, and I think even more, is they got a guy who has legitimate position flexibility. It's what I really liked about Gray Zabel, who ended up going, I want to say, in the mid-first round, which was a lot sooner than I thought he would go. I thought he was a back of the first round guy, maybe even a top of the second round guy that the Giants could have targeted, right, with that first pick or that second pick in the second round, but he went earlier. But what Imbo is he's a guy who, when you look at position flexibility, it's how does he play all of these positions? Well, the first thing is Imbo is really smart, and he knows how to perform on the fly. He knows how to adjust while the bullets are flying. So that makes him a cerebral guy who is not the biggest dude in the world, but bigger than what people give him credit for, right? 6'4", 300 plus pounds, right? 6'4", 300 plus pounds. Like, this guy is big enough to play in the NFL at guard. I've seen 6'4" guys 300 at tackle. So he played tackle at Purdue. He played tackle at Purdue. He played guard at Purdue. And I think that he can play center. I think that they will give him the opportunity to play center. That's a guy who is going to give you position flexibility on the right side, like somebody that you already have on this team that might not be long for this team after this season, right? So if you got a guy that can come in and be a center, a guard, or a tackle, all on the right side, because that's where he can hang out, then absolutely, right? Like, do that, rock out. I think that position flexibility is what I really like. And you know, you're right. Air Force ups, like LT said, no, make your own name. Like, don't try and come and piggyback off me, right? Kayvon Thibodeau came in talking that LT stuff, then had an 11.5 sack season, and then had a season where he was hurt and still has 5 sacks. I think you got 3 dudes, and you have to find a way to keep all 3 of them in the fold. But I love that. I love that pick of Imbo because his flexibility is on his flexibility, his versatility on another level. Extremely great burst, knows how to get up to the second level and make blocks. Played against Big Ten talent, which we all know Big Ten talent transitions to the NFL well. In round 7, Thomas Fidone II, like, he's another blocking back, right? Or blocking tight end, right? He's a blocking tight end who has a level of speed that I think people don't really know much about. I think he's got to put some weight on. 6'5", 243. He's a little slight in the frame. If you're going to be a legitimate blocking tight end, then you're going to have to get up to, I would say, in the 265 range. 265. Hit the weight room hard. He's a developmental guy. Don't mind the pick. But I really thought that they needed to get a wide receiver. There was so many good wide receivers still on the board at this point in time. In round 7, they picked another cornerback. They picked Corey Black, the cornerback the cornerback from Oklahoma State. Look, man, he played 5 years at Oklahoma. I mean, he played 5 years in college, right? And I'm not saying that you've got Corey Blacks already, but this team is full. This team is full. I'm being dead ass honest. They are full of 6 feet, 5'11", 6'1", like 185, 190 pound cornerbacks. It's full of these dudes. They got these dudes all over the place. I don't understand why you have to bring in more of this same cat. They clearly have a type at cornerback, right? That type that they like hasn't been the most successful for them, but they have them all over the place. You don't believe me? We can pull up the roster right now, because I think a lot of times people just don't realize what the team actually already has on the roster when they go out and get these dudes. Let me remind y'all, Trey Hawkins is on this team. Cordell Flott is on this team. Right? Art Green is on this team. Like, they already have these long-armed, 6 foot, 5'11" corners all over the place. They've been drafting them. Every single year. Every single year they've been drafting these types of cornerbacks, hoping to hit on them. And the one that they've really hit on, even though I like Deonte Banks, right? Like, Deonte Banks isn't bad. He's not as bad as a lot of people think he was last year. But the one that they hit on is Drew Phillips. And I'm saying hit on with a little pause, right? Like, he wasn't bad last year, but 5'11", 180. Like, they keep getting these types of dudes. And I'm like, man, where was the wide receiver? Where was the help? Because the offense needs to get better. Hey, all this stuff we talking about the defense, the truth is the defense gets better once the offense gets better. The defense spends less time on the field. They don't have to always be behind. That means you can't just pound them to death with the running game. That unleashes the talent of the team, which is the pass rushers, the blitzers. The defense gets better when the offense gets better. Where are the receivers? There were so many that they could have taken. So many in day 3. They had 4 picks in day 3. Right? They had a 4th, a 5th, 2, 7. They had 4 picks. They didn't pick one wide receiver. And yet, I'm hearing people act as if Joe Shane put on a masterclass in this draft. And I'm like, no, they already got Corey Blacks. They don't need a Thomas Fidone. They've taken a tight end with the 5th pick, with a 5th round pick the last 2 seasons. Now they took more of a blocking tight end, but they took a blocking tight end that's going to need to put some weight in his cheeks. He'll be a little bit more dump truck back there. So all he is a project. And they've got blocking. They just re-signed Manhurts. So they've got blocking tight ends. I just didn't understand why it was necessary, right? Or to take these guys when they could have taken a legitimate wide receiver. There were guys, like legitimate dudes, still on the board. Now, will they grab one as an undrafted free agent? Maybe. We'll see. Right? And even if they decide to move on for Bellinger, you still have him under control. Amon Perry, you're right. They might be trying to move on from Bellinger, but where is he going? It ain't like they're going to trade him, right? It's not like they're going to trade him. There's no reason to just get rid of him for no reason. No reason to get rid of him. Especially because he could still turn into something. He's still a 6'5", 250-something pound tight end with good athleticism. And he was on the right trajectory his rookie season. That eye injury really set him back. Then they brought in another dude. That really set him back. Then they drafted another dude. That really set him back. He's got to find his new way. We got to see more production from the offense, and I would have loved to have seen them go and get a big body wide receiver to come in and do the job. Like, I think that they had the opportunity to get a big body wide receiver who could have come in and really like did his big one. But they just didn't. They didn't pull the trigger on any receiver. I'm still at a loss for words for it. I'm still at a loss for words with it. Like, I don't know why they didn't go ahead and grab somebody, right? Heck, Will Shepard's still out there. Yeah, I don't think that. Okay, hey, Curtis West, you must be watching right now, so hopefully you make it to this point, right? But he says Cleveland drafted 2 QBs. Let's not use them as smart. Why not? They got a bunch of more draft capital to be able to play and get 2 QBs, right? Now you've got Shadur Sanders there. You've got Bo Nix there. You make Kenny Pickett. Expendable. Hey, I'm 100. Jordan Humphrey is not a wide receiver. He's not a legitimate wide receiver in this league. We've seen enough of him, right? We've seen enough of him to know he ain't the dude. That's why he was available to be signed on the cheapest of cheaps. I think he can come in and be a really good special teamer and maybe help somewhere as a back end. But they've got enough of those guys. I mean, they need a guy to be able to come in as someone that they're looking to be the heir apparent to Slayton. And they could have found that in this draft. There are plenty of those guys in this draft that could have been an heir apparent to Slayton. Neal, no 5th-year option. I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall, but no 5th-year option. I told you guys that they would definitely pick up the 5th-year option on Kayvon Thibodeau. I am surprised that they did not pick the 5th-year option up on Neal. But here's what I will say. Or I said it already, if Neal moves the guard and he balls out, which I expect him to do if he actually gets on the field and plays, right? Why can't they just re-sign him then? That's it. They'll just re-sign him. And so I don't think that's as big of a deal. But it also means that if they don't think he's there, then they get rid of him, and then we get to watch him go be a starter for the next 8 to 10 years for somebody else, because that's how it happens, right? That's how it happens for all of these. That's how it happens for all of these linemen, right? I'm still watching Will Hernandez start for other teams when they told us Will Hernandez was not good enough to start for the Giants anymore. I'm still watching Zietler start for various teams when they told us that he wasn't good enough to start for this team anymore. So he's either going to be a killer at guard, or they're going to move on and he'll be a monster somewhere else. And I promise you, if he gets out of here, and he goes to Philadelphia, y'all are gonna be sick. If he gets out of here and goes, oh, wait, somebody put it in the car. Oh, wait a minute. We're on the same. Iman Perry, yo, salute to you, Iman Perry. We're on the same wavelength a lot of times. If they mess around and let Evan Neal go to the Eagles, he'll roll around and be like a monster for them. But I digress. Let me get some grades for this draft. Let me get some grades. Abdul Carter, pick number 3, just based on the pick, that's an A. You got the best edge rusher, the best pass rusher in the draft. It's not even close. You've got the highest ceiling for an edge rusher in the draft. So I think that's an A, not an A+, but an A, because I still think that there was some things, right? But I'll give them an A for that pick. Round 1 pick 25, Jackson Dart. I give this a C+. I give it a C+ because they gave away draft capital that to me is valuable. They moved up to 25th to take a quarterback, and if they love the quarterback that much, they probably should have just took him straight away. I'll give this a C+ because they gave up valuable, very valuable draft capital for this. I'm not a big fan of that. Darius Alexander at pick 65, defensive tackle. I give this an A. I think that they got for a third round pick, I thought they got one of the best defensive tackle talents left out there. Now they could have went to another position again if they were trying to add wide receiver, which clearly they were not. I think that could have been a place that they added a really, really awesome wide receiver to the team. But for a defensive tackle, because they were coming off the board hot and heavy to get Darius Alexander at 65, still, I'll give that an A. Round 4, Cam Scatterbo. I give Scatterbo a B, a solid B. As a 5'10", 220-pound running back, he can be the lightning, but he does have a lot of wear and tear on those legs, a lot of yards. We all know that running backs only have a certain amount of carries in them. He spent 4 seasons getting the ball, getting getting all of the sweat ran out of him. 2 years at Sacramento State, getting the brakes ran off of him. Then 2 years at Arizona State, getting the brakes ran off him. So I give it a solid B because he's a really good talent who I think will be a fan favorite. So I'll give that a solid B. It's a great pick because I think he fits that thunder role. It's just a different type of thunder that we're used to. Round 5, Marcus Imbo. I'll give that an A-. Again, I don't think he was the best offensive lineman on the board. I think he was the most versatile offensive lineman on the board. So if you get the most versatile offensive lineman on the board at that point in the 5th round, I'll give that an A-. Round 7, tight end Thomas Fidone. He's a developmental guy. He's had some injuries. He's a dude who still has athleticism and is known more for his blocking. I'll give that a C. The Corey Black, I'll give that a D. Corey Black, I just think they have Corey Blacks on the team already. Add this to a long list of cornerbacks that they've brought in this regime that we haven't seen turn into much because they all kind of mimic that same look, right? They all have that same type of look. Ladies and gentlemen, we are over 1,000 people watching right now. Shout out to the people who are watching on X. Shout out to all of my longtime people that are watching on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on X, I need y'all to do me a favor, right? All of you watching on X, most of you are not subscribed to the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel. That's where you find this show, A Giant Issue, Coach Gene Clemons. I bring it to you all the time. I try not to be biased. Everybody has a little bias in them, but I try to give it to you as clear as I possibly can. If you would do me the solid of coming on over to the YouTube channel and hitting that subscribe button, right? Hitting that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. I really do appreciate. Oh, and by the way, if you're not following me on X, go ahead and follow me on X at Gene Clemons. Follow me on Blue Sky at Gene Clemons. Follow me on Instagram at Gene Clemons. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Coach Gene Clemons. I appreciate all of you. It has been a fantastic draft. I am on to continue writing up these new dudes, and I can't wait to see who the undrafted free agents are. I'll be back tomorrow if there's a nice little healthy list of those guys to talk about them as well. I am excited to see what this new crop of talent can bring to this team. Again, I told you already, before they brought all of this talent in, I thought that this team has 8 to 9 wins in them. I thought that this team had to be an 8 to 9 win team before they brought in all of the talent that they've brought in. Now I want to see what happens when you start to ingratiate these other people into those things. Hey, Jackson Dart can't have two better mentors than Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. So you've got to be excited about that, right? I think that this could be the start of that ascent for Bit Blue Nation. I appreciate you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you again. Thank you again. Go subscribe. Go over to the New York Giants on SI. See all of the New York Giants news and information. Watch all of the things that I'm writing over there. I appreciate you. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I've got a giant issue.